What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Amalgam Games Lab. At least that's what we think we're going to call it.
We may not.
We'll see how we go.
like it.
Today, I am your host, Shannon Hagler, and I am joined by Keena Johnson.
That's me.
Yay! This is the show where we talk generally about the video game industry, video game news. We'll break some things down, go on tangents, see how we go.
Yeah.
But it's just a place for us to chat games because we love games.
And Dean and Nathaniel are a little bit stupid. No, they're just not as well versed as us because they have lives.
Yeah, they might pop in from time to time.
When they want to talk about Fable.
Yeah. When a big game comes out, we're thinking that we'll probably do a God of War spoiler cast. It's probably not a spoiler cast by the time we actually get around to doing it, but
Well, the game's long and
yeah,
and it's our impressions about the whole story. So
Yeah,
it'll always be a spoiler cast, no matter when it goes up.
but yeah, it'll definitely be a God of War, like just a full in-depth sort of review / just a podcast about it to see about what our impressions are. And we'll probably have Nathaniel in on that one if he's finished it by then.
Yeah,
But we'll see how we.
I think we'll give him a month or so because he may never finish this game.
Yeah. I mean, depending on whether we get the feeling that he'll finish it, we might just do the podcast at some point with us too. Because I will definitely finish that game, hopefully in the next week or so.
Yeah.
So our housekeeping for this episode, you'll have to check out the Amalgam show for our impressions on Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah, we talked about that for quite a while.
It was at
It's
length.
a big movie. It's
There
2.5 hours long.
There's a lot to break down in that movie.
Yeah.
It's a long
I just had a
one.
thought, because I was talking about Lord of the Rings earlier. I kind of hope they do an extended edition. They won't, because Marvel likes their canon as the way it was told. But
yeah. A director's cut would be nice.
yeah, I don't
It's
think
2.5 hours long already. I don't know if they really have anything.
But that's the thing, I'd love a 4-hour cut, because like at home, you sit at home, I'm in my jammies, I'm in the heater. It'd be great. Just watch 4 hours of Avengers.
That would be
But
cool.
For Avengers 3, very, very crippling sadness. But,
I don't under. Yeah.
but
I
anyway.
don't think Marvel's ever done a director's cut, have they?
No, they've never done any alternate cuts, and that makes because they want whatever people see in theaters to be what people see. Like they want that to be the canon. As soon as you introduce a new cut, it fucks with the canon. That's even DC's already fucked it up with Batman v Superman. There's an
Yeah, because
alternate
it's got the ultimate cut.
and it's the ultimate cuts don't necessarily change the canon.
I mean,
but
maybe we get a director's cut in like 10 years.
I think in like 20 years there'll be like a big legacy collection. And it'll be like, oh, these are like extra. I think there'll always be extra scenes. Or stuff
unseen
like that.
footage and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
because they still did that with Aliens and Star Wars. Like these are some unseen stuff.
Yeah.
You thought you saw it all, now pay another $50 for it. Capitalism at its finest. Excelsior.
Oh man. Yeah, and that show will have a little. Yeah, that one should be up by the time this one's up at least.
Perhaps. Maybe.
Perhaps. We'll see how this
It'll
one-
be up on Thursday.
If this one even goes up, we still haven't completely figured that out, but we'll get there. Cool. So we'll just move on straight to the topics now.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Let's start with We'll start with the Nintendo stuff.
Okay. So, I'm just going to read the article as it is. Nintendo gets a new president.
Yeah.
By Joe Scrubbles, a made-up name. From IGN.com. No, I'm going to say .au, but that's not how the thing goes. There's also a bunch of Japanese names in this. I'm going to fuck them all up.
Yay! Love Japanese names.
Yeah. Current Nintendo president Tatsumi Kimishima will retire in June and will be succeeded by Shuntaro Furukawa. I'm not doing terribly.
Yeah.
Furukawa is currently the board member for both Nintendo and the Pokemon Company, and he will be the he will become Nintendo's sixth president in its 128th years of operation. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Because a lot of the time, these kind of appointments, like, consider them like the Supreme Court in America. A lot of the time for Japanese companies, presidents or CEOs are lifetimes.
Yeah.
Like, they will die as the president or CEO of a company before they let it go.
This kid will be there for a while. Cause at 46, he's particularly young appointment, which is apparently a purposeful direction on the part of Kimishima, who wanted a successor that could more easily connect with the company's customers. There's a big disconnect between 12-year-olds and 40-year-olds, but
Yeah, you know.
we will, quote, we will develop the company to its fullest, Furukawa said at a news conference per Bloomberg. I will balance Nintendo's traditions, quality and flexibility. Furukawa speaks fluent English, so it's possible we'll see him taking a more public role that the former president Satoru Iwata made so popular in his time at the head of the company. Kimishima became president 3 years ago following the death of Iwata, and his short reign was pretty eventful, accompanying the end of the Wii U and the rise of the Switch, and the fruition of many Nintendo's plans to license its IPs to other companies, including the upcoming Nintendo theme park. He was certainly very busy. He was also successful too, Nintendo reporting that it is on track to hit its highest profit since 2010, the height of the Wii.
Yeah, 2010, yeah.
Yeah, that's Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah, from what I saw, projections would put the Switch at over the Wii so far.
I
right?
cannot believe that. Like,
It's
projections say that, but momentum, yes. Momentum stopped because, like, I don't know, it is a different age, because I'm just going to bring it up now. It kind of ties into this. PlayStation 4 worldwide ships 79 million. That's its sales. Yearly sales are down from its last physical year, but software and PS Plus have kept it floating. Like,
Yeah.
80 million or 81 million was lifetime PS3 and Xbox 360. That was 8 years. It's been less than 5 years.
Less than 5, yeah.
Like,
since the PS4.
Four full
since the
years
original PS4.
of, like, half the time.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
And it's made basically just as much.
And the Switch is such an amazing console. Like, I've got one. I don't see it as something that would rival the Wii, but apparently it's capturing the hearts and minds of everyone.
Yeah.
Because it's going gangbusters.
It's hard because, like, for me, I see it more doing DS numbers, which is less. It's still fucked on.
Yeah.
But, like, it got the casual, it made the casual market, basically.
It created it, essentially.
With Wii Sports. Like, that's how everyone was sold on Wii Sports. And there's no killer app like that. But at the end of the year, if Pokemon is still on schedule, Pokemon's coming out. And every kid is going to want Pokemon. Every kidult is wanting one as well.
The thing with the casual market is that the Wii introduced it and it exploded. But that market has now grown and changed.
It is iOS focused now.
Yeah, not just that, but there are those that... how do I put this? A casual gamer is no longer a thing, I don't think. You either play video games or you don't. Those casual people got sucked into a way...
Okay, so you're saying there is no casual gamers anymore? Are they just...
Not in the sense that the Wii did.
Yeah.
Where, like, someone would literally have only a Wii in their house. I don't think there's anyone who's going to only have a Switch in their house.
Yeah.
But I think there are people who probably bought the Wii, and bought it for Wii Sports, and then picked up a couple other games, and now kind of like it, and would consider getting a Switch. Because it has that combination of... I mean, the portability is the thing that's really kicking everyone else's ass.
Yeah.
It's like that thing of, like, you just pick it up and go.
And, like, that was always the thing that Nintendo has always done very well, is, like, the DS killed. It killed. And even the 3DS is doing well. Like, it failed in its first year.
Yeah.
After the price drop came out, happened, fucking sold everywhere.
And the other thing is, like... The DS also sold to a casual market.
Yeah.
Because that thing wasn't, like, a hardcore gamers rig. Like, people who are quote-unquote casual gamers tend to look at things like the PlayStation and the Xbox as something they can't get into.
Yeah.
It's too above their heads. They don't understand
The controllers are very intense.
Yeah, they feel like they're walking into an alien world. But the Switch, it's still cute, it's small, it's understandable, it's very simple. Like, again... When I first got my Switch and the way it syncs its controllers to the screen, it's fucking magic. It's just you attach it to either side and you hit A 3 times and boom, you're playing a game. You slide them off, you hit A 3 times, boom, you're playing a game. There is no like, I gotta connect the cable and then sync it up and press the button.
The Bluetooth isn't working.
Yeah, it's just like, it's done. It's so instant, it's so magical. Like, and even connecting like secondary controllers and stuff like that, it is you turn the thing on, the Switch picks up that it's nearby, you hit A 3 times, and boom, you're in. It's so simple and so magical that, like, it doesn't need that. they've finally cracked the design on being able to allow people who don't know much about video games or video game hardware to utilize it as a video game console. The fact that it's like the first console in 2 decades that genuinely comes with 2 controllers in the box, basically, because the Joy-Cons can be separate controllers. I know they're not the best things in the world, but I'll tell you this, before I had a Switch and I was playing Mario Kart, that worked. Like, it's not... When you're playing games like Mario Kart that require shoulder buttons, A, B, and an analog stick, it works.
Yeah.
That's all you need. And so...
I've heard, like, as controllers, when they're attached, they're fine. When you actually pull them out and use them individually, they're
if you're using one Joy-Con on its own, they're quite small, so for adults they can be a little bit unwieldy. But honestly, the way I find playing the Switch most comfortably is dock the Switch, Joy-Con in each hand. Not control, like not in the grip where it's a controller, one in each hand, and I can play those games and it feels great. Because it's this weird realization of me being able to lounge while playing games. Like, I'll just be in these, like, weird-ass positions, and I've got the controllers, and they work perfectly.
Yeah.
And there's no latency, there's no lag, it feels great. The control layout is intuitive enough for me to just do what I need to do.
Yeah.
The actual feel of those controls is not bad. They've got that little attachment that makes them a little bit thicker, which can make them a little bit more comfortable.
Yep.
But for the most part, that thing is fucking amazing, and it shows that there is still room in the market for innovation.
Yeah.
Like, that thing is incredible.
Do you know if it's x86?
It runs I don't know if it's x80. I think it might be, because
I think it's very, very close.
because it runs on a Tegra.
Yeah, that's an Android device, isn't it?
Yeah. So it runs on a basically a Tegra processor. So I'm pretty sure it is just an x86.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, it's running on essentially an Android tablet, so at the end of the day, conversion would not be difficult.
Yeah, and that's why we're getting stuff like Skyrim and Doom and Wolfenstein on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they look as good, but they run just as well.
Yeah, I mean, the only limitation on the Switch is its processing power.
Yeah.
Like, it's never going to make God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn.
But it's making Breath of the Wild and Odyssey.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing. That's even the thing about Nintendo as a whole over the last, 5 years. Like, even though the Wii U is objectively a bit of a failure, the games still look really good on it.
Yeah.
Because they have their art style, they have their version, they have their polish. The Wii U, you run Mario Kart 8 at 60 frames, that thing looks gorgeous. Yeah. It's really pretty.
Even, back in the day of, 360 Wii, the Galaxy looks just as... It looks better than most of the stuff, because most of the stuff at the time, while they may have more polygons and shit, they were great.
Exactly, yeah.
Galaxy was beautiful.
Not just that, but also they decided, because they've got a different art style, if there's one thing that you can learn about video games' artistic direction, is that art style will always outlive graphics. Eventually, graphics will look bad because the new ones look better.
Yeah.
Take a look at the mid-era Final Fantasy games. 7, 8, and 9 don't look that great when they're being played.
8, I think, looks the worst. Because 7 has an art style. It's goofy, but
in
a goofy way it works. 8 looks terrible because it went for the most realistic way it could.
At the time, yeah. And again, at the time, looked incredible.
Yeah. No, I'm not taking that away from it.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
But it's aged the worst.
Yeah.
But you take a look at the pixel art of the previous 6 Final Fantasy games,
and no matter what rendition you play them in, they're all pretty as fuck. Whether it's the advanced or the NES versions, or even the PSP version, they're all gorgeous.
And that's the same with the games from the PS3 and the 360 era, is that they will continue, and even the PS2 and original Xbox.
Yeah.
They continue to age poorly because our graphics are getting better, but because Nintendo's, I don't know about smart, but definitely, they've picked an aesthetic.
Yeah.
Their games will always look good. Because they have an art style about them. Mario 64 doesn't look that great.
No.
But its artistic direction is so bright and colourful that I played that game in 2012 on an emulator, and I loved every minute of it. I didn't feel like I was I'm playing this shitty old game.
Was that the first time you played it?
No.
Okay. No, that's a different thing. There's nostalgia, which I understand. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I played Metal Gear Solid. Looks like garbage. No one has eyes in that movie.
Yes.
And because it was my first stealth game, like I didn't really have a standard for stealth controls.
Yeah.
So I was able to play that, and the story is so good. And for a PS1 game, besides an RPG, besides the 100-hour RPG, no one has ever done that. So, and like Metal Gear changed everything. Like what came out that year? Metal Gear, Half-Life, and like some people say 1998 is like the best year of video games ever.
Metal Gear, Half-Life.
I don't remember because I was 2 when that came out. When that year existed.
What is
When that year came out.
Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Fuck.
I believe is 98.
You know, a bunch of stuff, and like people think 2017 rivals that.
There are a few years in gaming that are the height. Like 98 is probably one of them. 2001, which is Halo.
Metal Gear 2.
Metal Gear 2, Final Fantasy 10.
Yeah.
2001.
I can't.
Can't remember.
Other stuff like
but
that.
Yeah, those are the 3 heavy hitters that people talk about, and then there's 2007. I think is the last big one.
Oh.
Which is
7 because
that's the launch of the 3. No, it's on
PS3.
PS3.
It must have been Bioshock.
Was it 07 or 05? I can't remember.
05 was... Oh, no, my mistake. 05 was 360. 06 was Wii and PS3.
Yeah, and 07 here in Australia, because the PS3 got delayed
Yeah, it was a
until
big delay,
March.
that's right.
I remember, because I wanted one really bad.
So, no, but it was $1,000.
Yes, it was.
But, you know, like, I think it was, Bioshock... I don't remember. It was 1 year, like, Bioshock, Fallout...
Gears of War, I think, was in there as well.
Yeah, Gears... It must have been 06 then.
Yeah, I think so.
Gears... Then it mustn't have been Fallout 3 then. But...
And one of the ones that I always think about is 2011.
That was, for me, that was the first year I got into gaming.
Yeah.
And that is the year of 3s.
Yes.
It was Gears of War 3, Uncharted 3, Batman Arkham City, which is not a 3, but
no, Batman Arkham City, which was incredible.
Battlefield 3.
Jeez,
Modern Warfare 3.
2011 might be the best year. Because then you've also got, I remember that year was Skyrim.
Skyrim, that's another one. Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Saints
They
Row
all had
3.
the same box art.
Yeah.
Saints Row 3.
Yeah. That was the year for Assassin's Creed Revelations, which is technically 3 in Assassin's Creed 2,
that
3.
was another, like, my theory worked for a lot.
Yeah.
In Deus Ex Human Revolution, it's the third game.
And that year was supposed to be Mass Effect 3.
It was,
but it didn't. They delayed that until February of 2012. I know that because it came out on Valentine's Day.
I thought it was a March game.
No, it was a February.
Okay.
I know this because my best friend at the time in university had a girlfriend, and he basically put off. He bought Mass Effect 3 the morning of Valentine's Day, put it away, did his Valentine's Day stuff, and then was like, "Okay, honey, can I go play Mass Effect 3 now?" And she was like, "Yes," and then he just played it until like the wee hours of the morning, because he was so hyped for it.
Yeah.
But I distinctly remember that game came out on Valentine's Day because there was a lot of angry Mass Effect people like, "No, I got to spend time with my girlfriend." Like, you really got one?
That was not a problem for me.
Yeah. But yeah, 2017 I think might rival it.
Because 2017 was Horizon, Hellblade, which I really
Was that
liked.
last year?
Yeah.
I thought it was this year. Oh, yeah.
I played it this year, but it was the last year game.
Horizon, PUBG,
Fortnite,
Zelda Breath of the Wild,
Zelda
Super
Mario.
Odyssey.
I can't think of any of them.
That might have been the 07 thing. It might have been Galaxy. That might have been the other ones. Because I was just thinking, so I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this, how I've always considered it, I'll relate it back to my wrestling talk I did before.
Yes.
As a wrestling fan.
I always show episode 40.
Yes. I consider it when the champion of WWE is doing well, the company is doing well.
That's a similar theory at DC. When Superman is doing really well, every other DC book
Exactly.
and that's what Rebirth is.
And with the with the games market, my thing is, I think if Nintendo is doing well, the industry is doing well. When Nintendo's on the top of their game, everyone else benefits from it.
It's interesting because, like, I'm not sure if I go with that theory, but last year was the launch of the Switch, and we got the two best Switch games with Zelda and Mario.
So far.
2017 for Xbox One and PS4 was when it's mid-cycle, and that's when the shit, because the developers are finally coming out with shit, like, they're finally hitting their stride, and like, we've got the tech down pat, or with God of War or Horizon, we've worked on this game since before the generation started.
Yeah, before
we
you
put our
guys knew
time
this
and
was-
love into it, and it comes out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but I always felt like there's this joy around the game industry when Nintendo's doing well.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about the last 5 years of the Wii U and like how that was from 2012 till 2017, of like what they were doing in there, and how the game industry kind of felt, even though we had the console launches for PS4 and Xbox One, I don't know about you, but for me it felt kind of like, man, like it was missing something. It was missing its soul, because Nintendo wasn't doing what it normally does. They were focusing on the 3DS because they knew the Wii U was a shit can.
but it's so, like, the Wii U is such an interesting generation. It's like, it's GameCube times 10 in terms of, like, maybe not actual times 10, but like, the GameCube is a beloved console and a beloved library. Wii U is just a beloved library.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like-
100%.
Like,
I've always had the feeling that after the Wii, they went into R&D and they made the 3DS, and someone or they were making the DS and the 3DS, because the DS was like, I think the DS was 07.
I think it was
I'll
I'll check it.
Yeah, double check that one. But they were making the DS and they were moving onto the 3DS finally, and like, I could definitely feel like someone at R&D had the idea of like, what if we put these two together?
Yeah.
And someone in R&D made a prototype, and that was the Wii U. And someone went, oh yeah, sell that. And the R&D guy was like, what? No, this is like... Because you could look at the Wii U, and it's a half-finished Switch.
Yeah.
Because you can do the thing where you take the tablet away and play the game on the tablet.
Yeah, but you still need to be in area.
Exactly,
the tech still wasn't there.
No.
Like, because the Switch is basically the same power as the Wii U.
Maybe slightly more powerful. Because it can output it... Well, in the dock, it can output at 1080.
Yeah. And
If
the
necessary.
Wii U
I think it's 900 upscaled. I don't know. I hate
Yeah,
numbers. I hate them.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it just... What was that point?
Oh, I always thought like the Wii U felt like a prototype.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a fully formed idea. It was this thing of like, we've got an idea where you play a console and then you can take it away and keep playing it. That'd be a cool idea, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at the Switch and you look at the Wii U tablet and you put them next to each other and you're like, this is what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
This is what they ended up with, and they just ran with it, and it feels like a little bit clunky in that way.
Yeah.
It feels
Wii U
clunky.
was rushed in the same way 360 was rushed to market.
Yeah, you can look at it like, you can feel it in the way that it looks, the way it's designed, the way that it's named. Like, every part of that system feels like they just went, I'll just put it out the door. Just put it out the door.
It'll sell. It's the Wii 2,
Yeah.
the Wii U, and it's always the worst name. Like, Wii, I think we can get around.
As someone who worked in retail around that
Oh,
time,
that must have been a nightmare.
The
And I
Wii
can't even
U
imagine how
and-
the DS is, because like going to the DS in North America and Japan came out 2004. 2004
shit.
for Australia and Europe.
Yeah. Oh, that was the original chunky one. I
The
remember
big
that
fat
thing.
one, and then I think 07 was the
that thing
light, and then
yeah.
that's when that system took the fuck
The
off.
light, yeah, the light was when that thing went insane. Because like the thing with,
The light's like one of the best things ever.
oh yeah, it's so
It's like rivals the SP.
yeah. The thing with, the Nintendo's naming conventions ever since the GameCube have been just a fucking nightmare. The Wii makes no goddamn sense. I don't know why, but we got used to it. Like I remember when the name was announced, everyone just laughed at it. But,
People like, I remember people like, I understood what it was, but a lot of people who were at E3 were like, is this just an extension? And like, is this like, they sort of was like a kind of like the Wii U balance board, or like just another peripheral, or was it like there was like another thing, like just kind of like what the 64 RAM dock thingy was.
yeah,
It was like, is this just an
the
extension?
the Famicom CD thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it basically,
And
like,
no one...
for years, like, I spent in the retail industry trying to explain to people, like, they want to buy a console. It's like, did you have a Wii? Yeah. Or you should get a Wii U. I think I have a Wii U. No, you don't have a Wii U. Trust me. Like, you don't have a Wii U.
No
you have
one
a
has
Wii.
one.
Like, Wii U is a separate thing, but
It's not the balance board.
Yeah, and this is actually one of the things that's really frustrating about backwards compatibility, is that, like, and it's weird, it's actually, like, the opposite problem of, like, because the Wii U played Wii games, people thought it was a peripheral and extension.
Yeah.
And it was hard to explain, like, it plays the Wii games, but it also plays new games, but those new games don't work on the Wii.
Yeah.
That you have to have a Wii U to play all of them. Does that make sense to you? And it's the same with the DS and the 3DS. It's like the
And
DS...
even the new DS.
Yeah, like the DS has its thing, and then there's the 3DS, and if you've got a 3DS, you can play the 3DS games and the DS games. But if you have a DS, you can only play the DS games, not the ones with the 3 on it.
Yeah.
And then the new 3DS came out, and that's
the
even
2DS.
more, that's even more of an... Like, 2DS is okay, but the new 3DS is a nightmare. It's like, oh, I've got a 3DS. Do you have a new 3DS? Well, yeah, I bought it new. No, do you have a new... God.
Yeah.
I have or, like, you know, working in the space of, like, you have a second-hand new 3DS, which is different from a second-hand 3DS.
Fucking nightmare.
Oh, it's just...
And luckily, like, there was only a couple of games that actually only required the
I think
new...
there's only one.
It was like Monster Hunter and...
No, Monster Hunter didn't require it.
I thought it did.
No, it had the thing where if you had a new 3DS,
enhanced.
the the C-stick thumbstick thingy would control the camera.
Yeah,
but
you
if
didn't need the boat, is what people call it.
Yeah.
God, that was a nightmare.
If you had
got one.
if you had a regular 3DS,
It worked fine.
its frame rate took a hit, but it would use the L and R for the camera controls.
Yeah, which is
fine. But the only game that I know of that requires new 3DS hardware is Xenoblade Chronicles.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
the
They have very
only
similar
one.
box art to me.
Yes, they do. Yes, but the only difference is that the Xenoblade one is black. Like, it's got a black strip on the top that makes it those new 3DS because it takes usage of the extra CPU power in that thing, which is not much, but it's enough to apparently render a game.
A Wii game.
Yeah, God. But yeah, that thing was literally the only game I know of. There might have been one
I
since
think
then.
there's a couple more, but they're very, very few.
Yeah, I haven't worked in the retail space for about a year now. Like, I've been up in IT now, so... so I haven't seen a list of 3DS releases in a while, but as far as I know... And there are, like, things about the 3DS that are better. Like, I have both an old model 3DS XL and a new model 3DS XL.
Yep.
And they're both Pokemon Collector's Editions and stuff like that. And I played Pokemon Sun and Moon on both of them because I have two for a reason, which is I can trade with myself and not have to talk with people. But I played them on both, and on the old 3DS hardware, the frame rate takes a noticeable hit, like a really bad hit. So it's a bit rough. But I'm interested to see if this new president of Nintendo is fluent in English, if he will take on the Iwata role.
I think he will. Like, that seemed to be the intention. And, like... And Iwata started when he was young as well. Like, Iwata was also our for-life president. And, like, this is... I think, yes, it is going to be... Yes, we will start to see him in directs at E3 presentations.
I hope so, because I've been missing that presence. Like, ever since Iwata passed away, Nintendo has done well. Their press conferences have been fun. That Switch announce one with the dude that was snapping all the time, that was fun and dumb.
And it's still iconic. Like, to me at least. Like,
yeah, and he's good, and he's like one of the younger guys coming up to the company. A lot of scuttlebutt I've been hearing is that, like, he will, if he's around long enough, he will eventually become president himself. Like, he's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I've been missing the Iwata. Like, that E3 they did the puppets. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
They did all that. So you know how Nintendo does their little press conference thing where they do
Treehouse,
where they do the basically show like a bunch of trailers and then they do a clip of like Iwata or Reggie.
Yeah.
They did that, but every cutaway was like Muppet style puppets.
Oh, it was them. That's right.
It was
oh,
so good.
wow.
It was so good.
I don't remember if I liked it or not, but it sounds awful.
It was awful in the best possible way.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is dumb and stupid and fun. And that's the thing about Nintendo that, like, when I say when they're doing well, the rest of the industry is doing well, is that when Nintendo's doing well, you can tell they're having fun.
Yeah.
Like, they legitimately, they look at games as a medium not only for artistic style and direction and technology, but for fun, because that's what a game at its core should be, is fun. And so that's what makes the Switch so cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
That's what made the Wii so cool. It's fun. The Wii U felt boring. It was like, you guys just, like, they couldn't even do a proper 1080 console. Like,
that should have been a 1080 console.
it should have been, but it wasn't.
Yeah, no, the Wii U will forever be the black sheep of gaming industry. Like, while there are a couple like
I don't know. There's the Dreamcast.
Well, people love the Dreamcast.
They do, but they love it in retrospect, because honestly, if the people who love the Dreamcast that much
at the time
were actually into it at the time, it wouldn't have died in a year.
True.
It's 12 months, less than, I think. I watched listened to a podcast or watched a video or something about the timeline of the Dreamcast, and it's actually like 9 months, like from launch to we're killing this thing. Like, I think it took 12 months for the whole thing to actually finish up.
Yeah.
But the moment they said, like, no, we're killing it, it's no more, it's like 9.
That's tragic.
It's insane.
What was this release date? 1/1/1. No, that's not right.
No, I don't think so.
9/9/99.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like when people like Skyrim came out 11/11/11. I love like when
I love when games do that. Yeah.
But yeah, no. I'm just trying to think what else. I think Nintendo is a very interesting company, and like for me, as an like having a little bit of OCD, I like it. I would just want it to be. I just want them to line back up. Like consoles come out within a year of each other, whereas the Switch is so far out, and like it doesn't matter.
I think we might get them doing a little, because I think the thing that set them off the cycle was the extended life cycle of the 360 and PS3. Because up until that point, it'd been pretty much most consoles were 5 years.
5 years.
Like clockwork, you could almost set your watch to it.
Yeah.
But they were able to draw so much power out of those two that they let them hang on for a couple extra years. I feel like the industry might be shifting towards an 8-year cycle instead.
I think we are now, because like 2020 is the prediction when PS5 is going to come out. I have a feeling that Xbox 2 is going to do what they did with 360. Come out a year early. It worked for them. Yes, they had red rings, but it worked. I don't think they're willing to do that again. You sure?
Yeah, because
to be fair, also the Xbox One X just came out as well.
Yes, so like they've got the Xbox One X, so for them to immediately, like very shortly, undercut their own world's most powerful console, that's a bit rough. 2, the reason the original Xbox is so fucking bulky, Xbox One that is so bulky, is because they were trying to avoid...
It was terrifying.
Yeah, the fucking VCR.
Meanwhile, PS4 comes out looking sexy as fuck.
Slim and... Oh, it's gorgeous.
And like the slim... I don't think the slim version looks good.
I don't think it looks as good, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But like the PS4 original looks
something about it, like the angles, the edges.
It's like it looked like it came out as a slim. Like, okay, you perfected it from the get go. Well done, Sony. Like,
yeah.
PlayStation has always been awesome with their hardware. Well, the PS3 was a big bulky beefy boy.
Yeah, the fat boy.
Yeah, like I think that's probably the only like mark against PlayStation, because then it's slim. Well,
I like the look of the fat one. The PS3 fat looks cool.
Yeah. It looks strong.
Yeah, it looks like a powerhouse.
Yeah.
It looks like what they were selling us, which was the most powerful console ever built.
Yeah, pay $1,000.
Yeah.
But then the Slim looks out, and then like it's weird. The PS3, and then the one after that, the Super Slim, had a grill on top. You're like, ew.
Yeah. That thing doesn't look right. It's cheap filling too.
It's cheap filling, but it is cheap, and like so many people got into gaming like towards the end of it on PS3. I'm like, okay, you buy the 12 gig one, I'll sort out a fucking bigger hard drive and a thing, and like you pay cheaper. Like
yeah.
And I did that for my brother and my best friend.
The other thing is like Sony's Slims do tend to feel a little bit cheaper because that's what they do.
That's the point of them. Yeah.
They create the Slim because it's a cheaper SKU. They've got the hardware perfected to a point where they they can cut the corners on the manufacturing now, where they're like, oh, we can make this part cheaper and this part cheaper. And so, like, the PS2 Slim, that thing feels flimsy as shit as well. But it's cool.
Yeah.
But it does feel cheap because it doesn't have the sliding in and out disc tray. You've got a disc cover like an old CD player.
Like an old PS1.
Yeah, exactly. Even the PS1 Slim is like, it's a little dinky. It's cool. I love that thing.
I don't really... I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between original PS1 and PS1.
Oh, it's
Slim.
very much the same sort of difference between like the Xbox One and the Xbox One S. Is like the first PS1 looks like a fucking brick. It's just chunky and blocky and huge, and then the Slim is like smaller and sleeker and nicer.
It's more rounded, isn't it?
Yes, as well. Yeah. But yeah, I think we're on a longer cycle now. I think like 7 or 8 years for each console. With I think the norm for those two systems at least will be the half step in between.
Yeah.
They'll whatever the PS5 is, there'll be a PS5 Pro. Whatever the next Xbox is, there'll be an whatever that is X. They'll do that half step again because it gives their gaming departments longer time to develop for the system, and it gives them longer time in R&D to make the next step worth it.
Yeah.
Because at this point, the next step has to be worth it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is yet, because like essentially it's 4K. It's 4K built in, but that's what the X does.
Yeah. That's probably the selling point for the PS5, but
it'll be 4K from the ground up, but whether it will whatever next PlayStation is has to be able to do what the X does, which is render it in real time.
Yeah, no.
Rather than doing the upscaling that the Pro does. But even the X, like, the thing with Xbox is that I don't care what they do with their next system. They better launch that thing with every fucking exclusive under the sun, because that has been their problem.
Yeah, and it's always been their problem. But like,
no, 360.
Towards the end of the cycle,
yeah, it's been their problem this generation.
Definitely,
it's just been the exclusives.
And it's like, it sucks because like PS4 is like everyone. You remember early PS4? Everyone's like, "Holy shit, they're not putting an exclusive out in fall. Bloodborne's not coming out in fall. Horizon's not coming out in fall. Spring. Yeah. Fall just is that time slot for me now. Like they kept delaying all their stuff, like Uncharted, like mid-year. Like everyone's like, but they had the smart thing. They partnered properly with third parties. Let the third parties sell. They come in spring.
Again, I think we mentioned this on last episode. Like they have done the smart business thing. Is they front load the year with their exclusives, and then they in the back half of the year when all of the third parties launch, they just go, well, you've got our system. There's 79 million of them out there. If you're going to play the third-party game on anything, you're going to play it on ours. So then they just let the third parties do what they do. So the Call of Duties, the Battlefields, the Star Warses, the Red Dead Redemptions, the GTAs, everyone picks it up on PlayStation because that's what they got and that's what their friends have got. And in the front half of the year, they go, oh, check out all this shit that we've got.
Yeah.
Whereas...
It's like you buy this for the third parties around... Christmas.
Yeah.
And like, hey, you bought this. Now here's a fucking epic game, Horizon, God of War.
Yeah, something that's going to keep you occupied for about a month or two until we... And I like the timing of it because they do it in... So far, their exclusives, their biggest exclusives, Uncharted 4 was May, Horizon was March, and God of War was April. They do it in this slot because it allows you to go, man, that was excellent. I wonder what they're going to do next. Guess what? E3's just around the corner. Yeah. And they can just hit you again with like a big exclusive. And this year it'll probably be Days Gone or Last of Us 2 or whatever.
It'll be Days Gone. And I hope that does well, but that's a different topic unto itself.
Yeah.
I think they've got this now, like talking this out, like they've got this nailed. Fucking, because like, they even have a thing every 6 months, a new announcement. E3, PSX. Or
Paris
PSX.
Games Week or Gamescom or somewhere in there.
Well, yeah, I think now it's Paris Games Week as opposed to Gamescom for Sony.
Yeah. Gamescom is Xbox's show. They try to do. But yeah, they've got this nailed. And like again, I think the only thing they're missing this year is the exclusive remake that everyone wants. So they did the Ratchet.
Shadow.
I mean, I guess, but I'm thinking more of the child-friendly one.
Yeah,
because that was the thing that. Early on or later on in the 360 cycle, that PlayStation nails more often than Xbox does, which is the games designed for children. And not children like 5, because they've got Lego games and Minecraft and whatever, but games designed for that 11 to 14-year-old, not quite a teenager, not quite a kid, but it's your Ratchet and Clanks, your Jak and Daxters, your Slies, those kind of mid-range, like, innuendo, games that kids are going to love when they're much older, games they're going to love right now. That's what they nailed around the PS3 generation.
Yeah.
And I think they need to nail... And the way they've been nailing it this time around was hitting the nostalgia button. Ratchet and Clank remake, Crash remake.
Yeah.
The Spyro one's coming out, but that's coming out to all platforms.
At the same time.
Yeah. So I think they need an exclusive one of those. I don't know what that is. I don't know if they're going to do one. They'll probably leave it till next year.
I think the closest thing to that is Spider-Man.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the Arkham market.
Maybe. Yeah, that could probably do it.
Yeah.
And again, that's a licensed game. It's been a while since there's been a good movie game too.
I didn't even think of the movie game, but
well, yeah, I mean, the comic game.
To me, like this is more in line with Arkham than it is Transformers game.
Yeah.
I think we'll move on to your topic now, unless you really want to talk about Switch sales numbers.
Oh, it's been nuts. I mean, the only thing that I really wanted to mention was that the Legend of Zelda sales numbers, which are insane for what mostly is considered a... The Legend of Zelda, in my mind at least, is one of those games that is associated with gamers. People who like games like Zelda.
Yeah.
People who don't like games don't know what Zelda is.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Like, everyone knows Mario, not everyone knows Link.
Exactly.
Like, there's a difference between the Zelda brand and not calling him Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda is super popular.
Yeah.
But only within a certain niche. Yeah. And it was kind of crazy to see that, like, I don't know whether you saw those numbers, but it was kind of funny, actually. Was coming out of the Switch launch, like, after about a week or two.
It's like almost 1-to-1.
The attach rate was 1.1 to 1.
Yes.
Because
right, yes.
Because there were people who couldn't get a Switch, but they bought the game anyway, and were like, "I'll just wait till the Switch is back in stock." And they bought the game anyway. That thing sold so well out of the gate that they had an attach rate higher than the number of consoles in the market, which is unbelievable. I'm actually surprised ARMS did 1.85 million units.
Yeah,
because that's kind of the throwaway title.
Yeah, and like at nearly 2 million, like they're doing what they did with Splatoon 1, which is creating this small little thing, and if Splatoon 2 has done 6.02 million units.
Yeah.
If they can get up to that, even if it's 5 million units, if they can double, like, it's everything a market about sequels. Like, you have a good lay a good groundwork so that the next one sells even more.
Yeah,
and then the next one sells even more.
Yeah.
And that's how IP marketing has been forever.
Yeah, and you can continue to ride that wave until you kill it.
Yeah.
And then
that's
you move on
why,
to the next thing. But the thing with Nintendo that's good is that when they do, take a look at Mario. Mario has been doing it for 30 years and continues to do it. And it's because every time they decide to do it on a new system, they come up with a new idea. They actually reinvent the wheel every time with Mario, and it's fantastic. I mean, Odyssey is the closest thing to just doing 64 again that they've ever done.
Yeah.
But the mechanics around that game and the feel of that world and the look of it and everything like that, it feels different.
Just basically introducing triple jump changes everything. Like the same way making double jump a thing.
Triple jump and the hat mechanic, which can basically make it quadruple jump if you want. Like if you're good enough at the mechanics in that game, you can basically endless jump.
Yeah.
Because you can just catch your hat, throw, jump on the hat, and then get the hat come back, and then you keep just going and going and going and going. And it's amazing. It's incredible. Yeah. I'm actually surprised though that it's sold that well.
10 million, yeah.
That it's the top. I'm surprised that it's beaten out Mario Kart 8.
I'm surprised Mario Kart 8 even got that high because, like, it's a port. Ports don't usually do this well. Like, yes,
I'm not surprised because no one played Mario Kart 8 because it was on the Wii U.
That's the thing. Like, that's why I would love Switch to be a port machine, like, for a little bit. Like, just get everything off the Wii U onto the Switch.
I think that's essentially what they have done though, because they got Bayonetta 1 and 2 on there now.
Yeah, there's a couple of other games. Like, I want basically like all the Zelda games, which is like besides Breath of the Wild, is Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD. There's a couple of other like remakes that they've done. Like, for me, take those couple of games, put them on the Switch, and that.
I think they will. I think by the time the Switch's life cycle is done, I think Nintendo will. Because this is the first console they've done that hasn't followed their pattern of backwards compatibility.
True, yeah, nothing, yeah.
Yeah, because like
I think going forward they'll be backwards compatible.
yeah,
again.
I hope so because like yeah, like they used to, for as long as I can remember, at the very least they would have a periphery that they would sell that would allow you to play the games from the previous generation. So GameCube had that like weird attach on.
There is a thing for GameCube.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Or actually, I think they might have. It was a weird thing with that one. Might have actually just been they might have cheated on that one because I believe it was there was a connection for the GBA.
Yeah.
That allowed you to plug your GBA stuff into your GameCube and play them on the TV. But there was a way because I remember there was something about being able to pull your Pokemon Stadium saves over to Coliseum.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or something like that.
I know you could get Ocarina of Time on GameCube if you got the special edition of Wind Waker.
Yeah,
that was a completely separate disc.
GameCube might be where it actually starts because the Wii plays the GameCube and then the Wii U plays the Wii.
The Super Nintendo play Nintendo games? I've never heard
No, I don't think so.
About that.
No. But it's something that
It didn't really start till PS2.
Basically, yeah. When the PS2 was the first one to go like, hey, you can play your old PS1 games as well. That's when it all started. And that was when the GameCube was coming out. So I think they started it there.
Yeah.
Where the Wii played the GameCube, the Wii U played the Wii, and then you go to the Switch and suddenly it's a cartridge-based system and like, fuck.
Yeah. Does Wii U play GameCube games? I know it has GameCube controllers, but
No, it can't. You can't just slide the discs in.
That sucks.
Because it's a different type of drive.
And oh yeah, that's fair enough. It's a weird thing. Like the PS3, the Slim stopped being able to play PS2 games. You can still put on a PS1 disc. Everyone thinks,
for the most part.
Yeah, in all my experiences, yes, you can put in like that was.
I will tell you the exception to the rule. Final Fantasy.
Really?
Those discs don't work.
Is it because they're multi-disc?
I don't think so, because I think there's other multi-disc games that work. But I tell you from experience, because I still own somewhere a copy of Final Fantasy VIII on disc. I had a PS3 during a break at university. I was like, I want to play Final Fantasy VIII. Slid the disc in, can't read it. I had to purchase it through the store. It's either the multi-disc thing, but I don't think it's that. But I believe the actual reason is there is something different about the way certain PS1 games were written to the disc.
Yeah.
The PS3 can't read them.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah. It's mostly, from what I gather, Japanese, like JRPGs, just don't work.
Huh. Which a lot of them were multi-disc. So
yeah, so it's probably both. It's probably both of the problems. But,
interesting.
Yeah, so for the most part, yes, you put in a PS1 disc, it'll work on a PS3.
Because, I remember that being the whole, like, it's no longer backwards compatibility. I'm like, I'm playing Disney's Hercules on this. Like, what are you talking about?
It's the 2 that's the real problem. It's the fact that they ripped the 2 one out of there.
Which,
people get really...
they're basically running the 2 in there.
Yeah,
but
getting really annoyed. I just wanted to touch on 2 small, sort of, because this week's news has been a little bit...
Dry for terms of gaming.
Yeah, it's been a little...
love Infinity War.
Yeah. It's been a bit lackluster. Again, it's the slump before we head into E3. We're about 6 weeks away. Things will start to... Things start to, like... A lot of companies pump the brakes for a second.
Or they do their pre-announcements. Like, we got Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yes,
And we have got gameplay, and that's going to be... That's probably going to be at Microsoft.
And we've got the leaks starting to come out. Things like the Call of Duty no single player that we talked about last week.
It's the leaky season.
But 2 things I wanted to hit on. One... Battlefield 1. I heard this today and I thought it was insane, that there was a recent patch to the game that has broken it for Australia. Specifically for Australia.
Which is oddly specific.
Yeah.
Like, it is... I've never heard this before. I mean, it may have happened before, but maybe for smaller games or something.
Yeah.
But, like...
apparently the game's servers are just completely fucked. There's nothing you can do. Now, there's been some online scuttlebutt of people being like...
Favorite kind of butt.
Yeah. Of people being like, I'm going to go and get a refund from EA. Don't do that.
It's probably somewhere in the terms of service where that's not...
Well, it's just... It's just... The game's been out for a year and a half.
Yeah.
You got a year and a half out of that game. If they shut the servers down tomorrow and say it's never going to happen again, a year and a half out of a thing that you paid for like $100 for, sometimes maybe like depending on where you went, $70 for.
Or
That
more
seems
if you got like plus premium pass.
yeah. Like it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
It's just that at the end of the day, it's an online game, and if you haven't realized that online, like it's the multiplayer that's fucked. If you haven't realized at this point that patching games and multiplayer and online stuff like that is fickle and difficult and a problem and can be an issue, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a couple of weeks, it's been a while, you can't play your game, but there are plenty of other games out there to bide your time.
Yeah.
If you've got a PS4, go play God of War.
Yeah.
Do something else with your time. The game will... They will fix it. They will fix it.
Hopefully.
I hope so, because I didn't want to keep talking about EA, but that just, like, it's just another nail in their fucking coffin.
Yeah.
It's not like, come on, guys.
I'm not necessarily I guess I am sympathetic towards EA because they do try a lot, but they fuck up so bad. It's like a drug addict cousin or something. Like,
Yeah.
they try, but then they just slip up so easily. Like it's hard to feel sorry for you, man.
Yeah, like at this point
and you do it over and over and over, and you've been doing it for 30 years, 25 years or whatever.
Yeah, and there's nothing else we can do. Like, they are the big evil corporation, and they just will continue to be that.
Yeah.
I hope it gets fixed,
like,
because apparently that fan base is very dedicated.
Oh, yeah, Battlefield. Yeah.
And
they're not going to leave until Battlefield 5 comes out.
Yeah, and I would like for them to be able to play their game. The cynical looking at this is like, well, I think Battlefield 5 is probably slated for this year, so...
Oh, yeah, it is.
So, like...
Battlefront 2...
6 months' time, you're going to have a new one anyway, and you're all going to migrate off, so why are you bitching now?
The only reason is that you'd love the aesthetic of Battlefield 1, because it is World War 1. And, like, that's the only reason I took a relative interest in it. Like... I almost bought it, but I just didn't have the money or time at the time.
That's fair enough. I can understand that, but here's how you solve that map pack. Like, Battlefield 5, give the motherfuckers a World War 1 map pack.
They're going to do that forever. They're going to nuke town the shit out of this.
Yeah, hell yeah. Like, if it's going to do well.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. What's the other story that you had in mind that you wanted to discuss?
That was the Campo Santo.
Ah, yes.
I guess the most recent thing that they made was
Firewatch, and they have Into the Valley of Gods coming out soon. And that's the game in development.
Yes, the game in development, and they have been purchased by Valve,
which means Valve is making games again. Technically,
yeah. So like they're taking the Square Enix route of like we make games by like buying someone else and getting them to make the games. Yeah. I'm not going to count this. So by all accounts, it is a amicable purchase. It's something that the studio wanted to do. Yeah. They're very happy about it.
It seems like they still have relative control of what they're doing.
Pretty much, yeah.
And they have publisher answers that they need to, questions they need to answer to. And like, it's the same as any publisher-developer relationship.
Yeah. It seems like it's going to be a good thing, because if it means the guys there can have a bit more security, know that they're going to have... Yeah, and resources to put out the games they want to pay. Because Into the Valley of Gods looks pretty cool.
I haven't seen too much about it, but it looks good. Firewatch looked great as well. I haven't played it. Again, no time or money.
Yeah, Firewatch is, again, interesting. They're an experimental studio. They tend to play with story and immersion and that kind of stuff, and it's interesting. I guess the thing about this, though, is like... Is this what Valve's going to do now? Are they going to buy up other studios and use them to produce games, and that will be their thing? Or are they actually going to make a fucking game? Because...
I think they will do it, like, they'll purchase some independent developers, and they'll continue to make their independent games. Relative independent, because that's a weird term now. But anyway,
yeah, it's
new term that I've heard recently, it was about one of the Gone Home co-founders did his own game. It had like Dave Fennoy and a bunch of other, like Sting was a voice actor, and it failed. Like it was a game, like innovative storytelling, and it failed. And he like wrote a big blog post about like how games like this don't work anymore. And Kind of Funny brought him in to do this big discussion about it. And he turns out there's a new term called Triple I.
Yes,
I've never heard of that. Yeah,
and
like, I'm like, that's a really good term.
Yeah,
but anyways,
indies,
terminology is weird with indies.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're doing. Whether Valve will make their own IPs anymore, I still hesitant. Like, we're never going to get a third game of anything.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that Valve in terms of that, they've backed themselves into a corner because they've got Dota 2. That thing is a money-making
That
machine.
and Steam is just all they need.
Yeah, and those are the weird things. Like, they purchase a developer, but they also own like a front end, like a
store,
a marketplace.
Yeah.
And so, like, people have been publishing games on Steam for years, and they've been the directorate of that.
Yeah.
Now they're purchasing one, and I assume this game will come to Steam as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a bit weird.
Whether they go publish,
Like,
whether they publish on other consoles or not.
They did say that they will be publishing on other consoles.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that they have said that In the Valley of Gods will be coming to other systems.
I do
not
remember
just Steam.
seeing that, yeah.
So,
which is interesting because, like, it's... Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the same situation of EA still putting out... Like, they have EA Origin, but they still
yeah.
put out on consoles.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're just going to, like... Yeah, so, like, Valve essentially got Dota 2, and that will never die. Because they won't do a third one, because the base will split. Because that's the way MOBAs work. Is that people die hard about the thing that they're doing, and they won't move over to the new one. So what they end up doing is they just update Dota 2 constantly. And but at this point, it's basically Dota 3.
Yeah.
From what I gather, it's so different from what it was when it started out, it might as well be a completely different game.
Yeah.
The other Valve franchises, Team Fortress 2.
That's not really a money-making thing.
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
people play it a
the
lot.
hats thing got them going for a while, but that they basically took that and put it into Dota. And I don't think that they'll ever make anything like that because that market's now crowded with things like Overwatch.
Hero
hero shooters, team shooters. Like, essentially, Team Fortress is the birth of that.
Yeah.
And so they won't make a third one because they're going into a market that's saturated, and Valve is smarter than that.
Yeah.
Portal 2, I don't know what you do with a Portal 3.
Just make more puzzles, more cool stuff. Like,
yeah, but the thing is, though, it has the novelty worn off at this point because it would just be Portal again.
that's the thing, I think a lot of people just want Portal again.
But here's the thing: is that, like, I mean, I recently went back and played Darksiders, and the thing that Portal did was that, like, after Portal came out, every fucking game had a portal mechanic. Because Darksiders has a portal gun at the end of that game.
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck, Darksiders? I can't think of too many other things with portals. There's a game called Quantum something or other.
Quantum
it's
Break?
like a Square Enix published game.
Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, it's...
No, if
it's
you
on the same
play...
devs of
If you play any of the B-grade adventure games from that time, pretty much towards the end of the game, there was always a portal mechanic. And literally, the one in Darksiders is a blue portal and an orange portal. Like, it's fucking just ripped straight. The thing with Darksiders is, I'm going to go on a slight tangent. That game, both of them actually, is like, they are the best B-grade games because all they did was take mechanics from every other game that was
took the
popular.
best bits, yeah.
Yeah, put it together and gave it a cool aesthetic. And
Yeah.
like, here's a game. And Darksiders is amazing, and I'm really keen for the third one because it's supposed to come out this year.
Yeah.
And I actually really want to see that because, yeah, the first one is, like, it's essentially a Zelda game.
Yeah. So it's the second one, though, isn't it?
No, the second one is way more of an open world game.
I thought people... When I heard people talking about the second one, it was very much... Oh, it's like Zelda. You go to the dungeons.
No, I would say it's there are dungeons, but the first one is way more Zelda because it's like you go through a dungeon, you beat a boss, you gain an item that allows you to move through the next dungeon. Or go back and do other things.
Yeah.
There's a hub world. It's very much way more Zelda that way.
Okay.
And then at the end of it, there's like a big puzzle that's like a combination of all the bits and pieces you've picked up, and then you fight the final boss. It's way more of a Zelda game in that one. The second one is way more open world. Actually, I'll tell you what game that the second one actually feels like. God of War.
I see. That's the thing. I've heard it's the opposite from many different other podcasters. Like the first one's God of War and the second one's Zelda. Like that's interesting.
No. Aesthetically and gameplay wise.
So the first one you are war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, gameplay wise, I can see where they're coming from. Like the first one is much more like it's about like combos and just killing them and cutting their heads off and stuff like that. The second one is, way more dodge focused and like focusing on a target and then moving and all that kind of stuff. I can see where they're coming from there.
Yeah.
But the second one is like
in terms of level design sort of stuff.
Yeah. It's a big open space that you can go through and then you can explore and there are little side bits and all that kind of stuff. The thing that I think that actually like puts it way more in line with God of War, and I have no idea how anyone could think that Darksiders 2 is like Zelda, is that it's a loot game. You kill enemies and they drop loot. They drop different leg pieces and armor pieces and swords and all that kind of stuff, and you take it and you go, oh, this one's more powerful than that one. Ditch that one.
Yeah.
And level up that way, and then you can upgrade those things. And there's currencies and quests and all that kind of like. There wasn't side quests in Zelda like there wasn't a system in Zelda where there was a option in the menu for your side quests until Breath of the Wild. Yeah, until Breath of the Wild. Like that's the first one where it was like, here's your side quests.
Yeah.
That's in Darksiders 2. The third one looks way more like a modern Ubisoft open world.
Oh, okay.
Like that kind of
So
big expansive, almost Breath of the Wild type thing. But like that one I'm looking forward to because it kind of broke my heart when THQ went under and I knew Darksiders wasn't going to get its third game.
Yeah.
Because the original pitch for that game was like, hey, what if we did a co-op game where you're all 4 members of the Apocalypse, the Horsemen, and you go through and do that, and they couldn't figure it out. But they then went, okay, well, what if we just did a game that you were playing as a Horseman of the Apocalypse?
Yeah.
And then they figured that out. When they were asked to do a sequel, they basically went, well, what can we do that's different? We'll just pick a different Horseman and do a different story.
That's the thing, like, I thought they were going to do 4 games, and each of them would be about the different Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Yes, that's what they came to after the first one, and they went to develop for the second one. That was the idea they came up with. Like,
And then-
okay, one for each of them.
3 is Fury, which is not a Horseman,
No, so
which bugs me.
there is essentially 2 things. One, there was a comic they made,
Okay.
or
Yeah, tie-in material.
yeah, there's some sort of material out there, not necessarily their own, but there's some sort of material out there where Pestilence and Famine are replaced with Fury and Strife. I think it might be Discworld. Not Discworld.
The
Something
Terry
else.
Pratchett stuff.
Yeah. Doesn't that have the 4?
I'm not sure. I'm not a Discworld or Terry Pratchett fan.
He's got a there's
Okay, so it's someone else's take that they're different, and they're basing it on that take.
Yes.
Okay.
It's partly that, because I think it's Discworld. I can't remember.
It might be something along
It might
those
be
lines.
something along those lines, something similar. Because I actually think Terry Pratchett's one is the one where he's got like a 5th horseman called Chaos.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, that is like not mentioned and not named, and there's some stuff in there.
Yeah.
But anyway, the other thing that they said that they came to the conclusion of was that they picked Fury and Strife as 2 because they essentially were like, we don't know how to make a fun mechanic out of Pestilence and Famine. We don't know how to do that.
Fair enough.
Because War is like, you give him a big sword, he's War.
Yeah.
Death has always had the scythe, so that was cool. They were like, Pestilence and Famine? I don't know.
Give him a potato.
So then what they came up with was the story of, so they have Strife and Fury. In the first game, you actually obtain Strife's pistol. So Strife's a gunman, and Fury has a whip. And they're like, cool, these are different types of weapons for each of them that allows us to do different types of mechanics and also have a fun story and also have the 4 horsemen.
Yeah, okay, I'm less mad at it now.
Yeah. It's I believe they concepted Pestilence and Famine and we're just like, we don't know what to do with it, so we'll go with
No
this.
one knows what to, like, people get them interchangeably, because there's such...
we
like, Famine's a bit easier, like lack of food, but Pestilence is like...
Yeah. It's a lot harder in that way.
Lots
so
of
like,
shrugging, I
and,
did.
and I like their take on it. I really do. And I like the fact that they are not doing direct sequels. So Darksiders 2, the story of that one actually happens parallel to Darksiders 1. And they end in the same place.
Huh.
Darksiders 3 will actually take place before Darksiders 1.
Okay.
Yeah, because... You ever going to play these games? No?
No, not realistically.
The end of Darksiders 1 is essentially you... So, Darksiders... The apocalypse starts. No one knows why. There is a mystical council called the Charred Council that sends... that blames the Horseman War for starting the apocalypse.
Yeah.
But he says, and you see it in the opening cutscene, when he was summoned, the apocalypse was already happening. So he doesn't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
So they say, okay, cool, we're going to send you to Earth, we're going to strip you of most of your powers, because that's why.
Yep.
Because that's a video game thing. And well, actually, they're like, so what do we do with you? And he's like, well, why don't you send me to Earth? I've got none of my powers. I will go find out who started the apocalypse, because if I find out, then I find the person that you want instead of me, and then justice can be served. If I don't find out, then the demons will carry out your sentence. is the line that he uses. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm either going to die here or there. You can pick which one.
Yeah.
So he goes on this journey, figures out that it was an angel that turned evil, as per usual. And the last moments of Darksiders 1 are that essentially there were 7 seals that need to be broken. 6 of them were broken, but 1 of them was left intact, and that's why the apocalypse shouldn't have started. It should have stayed away for a lot longer. War goes through all the stuff. At the end of it, he breaks the 7th seal, and the other 3 horsemen come charging in from the heavens, and then the game ends. And you're like, ooh, yeah! And essentially, Darksiders 2 kind of goes up to the point where Death is trying to figure out what the hell's happening, because his brother's in prison, and while Death is figuring it out, then War gets released, and they all kind of parallel. Darksiders 3 will be taking place while while War is in prison, and essentially it happens when War gets sent to the Earth. It's already been destroyed and ravaged. Fury is going to the Earth in the middle of that process.
So during the apocalypse,
sort of post-apocalypse, but during the time where the demons are finally taking over the world.
Yeah.
So essentially, when you're going through the game in the first one, you are just going through ruins. There's just nothing left. It's all been destroyed. Yeah, in Fury's world, they're in the middle of that, and the thing that they're pulling out for this one, which I think is really cool, is that the thing that is causing all the destruction on Earth, the thing that the demons have let loose, is the 7 deadly sins. So you'll go fight them. I'm like, that's cool.
it sounds like this is actually a 5-part game series.
Yes.
Because it seems like they're going to do an Avengers thing, and like they'll all come together at the end.
I kind of hope they do.
I think
that'd be cool.
If that's the reason THQ Nordic exists, is to finish this Avengers edgelord game, like.
Well, the thing is, it's not THQ Nordic just owns Gunfire Games, and they're the guys developing it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're assembling a lot of THQ properties. They're basically reforming THQ,
which is good because THQ has a lot of good properties.
They do.
Now the Nordic bought. I don't know if we talked about this last week, but they bought. Deep Silver? No.
Deep Silver belongs.
Who'd they buy?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. They bought another company recently in an acquisition, which essentially meant the last pieces of THQ that Nordic didn't have, they got. They got all of it now.
So it must have been Deep Silver.
I think so, because it's the Saints Row stuff that they were missing out on. Yeah, they've got all of it now.
But Deep Silver also had.
I think Deep Silver sold Volition. The Volition stuff to them. I think that's what happened. Why? But essentially, THQ Nordic has now picked up all of the THQ IP. The only thing they're missing now is the old wrestling games.
Yeah,
and they're never going to touch those. Fuck that. But they've got everything else.
Yeah.
So
and
if
maybe
you're a Saints Row
weird
fan,
licenses like SpongeBob and shit like
that.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. But if you're a Saints Row fan, there's hope.
Well, I thought Deep Silver was doing okay with them.
Until Agents of Mayhem.
Well, didn't people like Agents of Mayhem? Okay, yes. That was not a Saints Row. That's a different thing. That looks not good. Yeah.
Yes, that was bad, and that kind of was
okay,
man.
now.
Yeah, okay.
That's how, fuck.
I mean, it came out. I would argue that game was early access.
Fuck
on
me.
disc. It was bad, man.
Oh no, that's not
it was
good.
so bad. Anyway, that's probably it. We've gone pretty long on this one
Yeah.
for a week with no news.
Yeah.
As we said at the start, if you are looking out to do more with our channel, please check out our Amalgam show. Infinity War spoiler cast. So if you haven't seen the movie, maybe skip it.
But we need to talk about more other stuff. Do we? No, it's just basically God of War again.
Yeah, it's a little bit of God of War, a little bit of some fun banter, and then it's Infinity War for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's a good chat, I think.
Yeah,
and I think it's definitely worth a listen. If you have any questions, please comment below or email us at amalgamshow@gmail.com. And anything else? Oh yeah, leave a like, hit subscribe, hit that notification button, all those bits and pieces. And we'll see you next time on the Amalgam Games Lab.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.